Chicago, and Virginia.
Okay, okay. So, did you notice like immediate changes when you go to those areas?
Well, yeah, each area that I went to is different. Like the different regions have different ways of life. So the East Coast has their own way of doing things, and the West Coast has their own way of doing things, and the South has its own way. So it is immediate changes.
Okay. Was the food any different, or was it similar to like the food down south?
In what area? Like in just in general? Like is the food different as far as each region?
Hmm.
Yeah, it is. Each region, well, they have the same types of food. I guess it's just a different way of preparing it. Like the South is more of a soul food kind of feel to it as far as the food, and the East Coast is more of a quick kind of Italian area. I mean, it's a lot of Italian food and a lot of quick shops that you can go into and just get stuff and kind of run out. And the West Coast is kind of they have bigger name type restaurants and bigger name type foods, which is primarily the same type of food, but they just prepare it in a different way. So yeah, the food is different in each region, but I mean, I like it equally. It's not one area of food doesn't have better food. I wouldn't say each region has their own specialty type of food.
Okay, so do you feel if do you think like the West Coast and the East Coast like their food is more healthier than the South food?
Yes,
How?
yes. Well, the South, like I said, it has more soul food feel. So, um, they serve more heavy foods, like greens and stuff that really stick to you. And it's kind of if you eat that on a regular basis, it's kind of hard to be health conscious.
Hmm.
The West Coast and the East Coast, they sell more foods. It's kind of more fat. They sell fast food too, but they also have the variety of eating organic food. A lot of stuff that they can eat, and they have a lot of places where you can work out too. So
Hmm.
that kind of helps. They have more gyms to kind of work out, so that helps the situation as far as the food being healthy. So yeah, the South is probably the worst when it comes to how healthy the food is because it's so heavy.
Okay, so how is the fashion of the people? Like, how do they dress? Is it different? Is it alike?
Well, the fashion is probably the thing that's the most different in each region because each region has their own way of dressing, their own style, the way they put things together. The West Coast is more of a summer friendly kind of feel to it, so you can dress kind of like you're going to the beach every day on the West Coast, and that it really doesn't get that cold. On the East Coast, is the total opposite. Um, it snows primarily most of the year, except for the summer and the spring, um, and you have to dress heavy most of the time on the East Coast, which pertains to the fashion that they wear, like a lot more sweaters and a lot more jackets and just things of that nature. The South is kind of a mix in between because it's hot. It has its hot moments, but it also has its cold moments too. So
Hmm.
um, we just kind of basically, we go with the trend, but we kind of try to set our own trend too. So the fashion is different in each region. Up north, I'm like as far as the Midwest region, I'm not sure because I've only been there a couple times. So um, I really don't remember. It was a while back. I really don't remember the fashion in that area.
How about the music? Which one do you
Um,
like better?
I would say it's all the same because music, excuse me, is universal. So no matter where you go, you pretty much have like I have my own style of music that I listen to no matter where I go. So I mean, each region has a different style of music, of course, but me myself, I no matter where I am, I still have a select catalog of music that I listen to. So no, depending on if I go to the West Coast, do I play West Coast music more than that, more than often? Probably not. That's just me and my personal preference. I just kind of do it however I want to, pretty much.
Okay. So, how is the environment as far as like the atmosphere and the weather? Like, is it the same? Is it different? Is it better? Is it worse?
Um, the weather, the atmosphere, I guess it is different. I mean, like I said in the question before, like the weather on the West Coast is a lot hotter than the weather on the East Coast and in the South. In the South, weather is more humid. You know, it's like the air is thicker, a lot thicker in the South than it is on the West or on the East Coast. So the summers here are a lot hotter. You know, in the summertime, it gets up to 103, 104 sometimes, and even, you know, higher than that. Um, so I experienced that a whole lot growing up. But when I vacation to the west or to the east coast, the air is a lot thinner. So, you know, you'll be able to, you know, work out outside a lot more. You'll be able to go outside a lot more and kind of just hang out. Rather than in the south, you won't be able to do that without sweating and without being so humid. So the weather is really different.
Yeah.
Really different.
Okay. So, did you notice a difference in the culture and language when you go to the East Coast and
Yeah,
West Coast?
yeah. Because the language and I guess the um I don't know the word for it, but like the slang that they use, you know, is a lot different. Like in the South, we kind of chop our words up, and you have to kind of listen really close to kind of understand what we're saying. But on the West Coast, they say their words thoroughly and a lot proper, you know, so it's a lot different. And then on the East Coast, they're proper too, but they just have a different kind of East Coast kind of slang that they kind of go with. So the language is different everywhere, and you kind of have to adjust to each area that you go to because you'll talk to people and people won't understand what you're saying, or you have to kind of be conscious of what you're saying and how you're saying it to people. So the language plays a big part in, you know, going different places and realizing how different it is.
Okay, so do you think, like when you go to the East Coast and West Coast, do you think it's more conservative or liberal than the South?
Both. I mean, the South is kind of like still trying to catch up to other regions as far as, you know, politics, as far as just the economy, you know, different areas like that where the South is kind of behind because um, the civil rights movement was really big in the South, so we still experience the things that go on, that went on with the civil rights. Not as bad, but you still get, you know, comments here and there, or the way people act, the way people look at you. In those areas, in the West Coast and the East Coast, they treat you completely different. Like everybody is equal. Everybody is on the same level as far as wanting to be successful, you know, having the opportunity to do things. And the South is not like that. It's kind of like you have to really push, you know, yourself and your dreams or whatever you have, your goals or whatever you want to call it. But it's more conservative, you know, in those areas than it is here for those reasons alone, I believe.
Okay. So, what do you like about the city? Like, what specific things do you like about the city?
Um, Well, I like the variety of things to do. Like, no matter what day it is, what the weather is, there's always something to do in the city. There's always somewhere to go. Um, Even if it's just riding around and seeing things. You know, in the city, you can go do tons of things for free, or you can pay for them, but it's just always something to do. There's more choices of fashion, places to shop in the city, you know, so you can get different styles, you know, more food places to kind of eat, experience different kind of foods. Um, and that's primarily it. I mean, I like the city because it's just a lot bigger, a lot more people, a lot more things to do. You know, you can meet more people that way, and you can kind of be by yourself too and just find something to do. It's always something to find. So that's what I like about the city.
What about the South? What do you like about the South?
The South, well, I mean, I'm used to the South, so I love pretty much everything about the South. Mainly, I love the hospitality, like the Southern hospitality. Like you can be anywhere and people just talk to you, they'll speak to you, um, like they've known you forever. Like the hospitality here is like nowhere else. Um, the food, I love the food. The soul food feel, anything that, comes out of a garden pretty much, I love. Um, let's see what else. Um, I like how it's smaller, smaller communities and smaller towns, so everybody knows everybody pretty much. Um, and that could be a good thing when you're trying to find careers, or if you need something, you can always know somebody who knows somebody, and it's quick. You can get to everything quick. You don't have to, you know, wait. So it's pretty much those are the main things that I love about the South.
Okay. Do you think that job opportunities are better out here? Like, if you were to apply for a job in the West Coast or East Coast, do you think that it will be more successful than getting a job out here?
Yeah, well, I think you have more options, in those regions, in those cities than you do here, because it's just more things to apply for, it's more businesses to apply for, and more careers is open. So the field is wide. In the South, there's a lot of careers, but there's not. If you apply somewhere, you pretty much have to, be a prime candidate to get that job. In those areas, you can apply to, 50 different jobs in the same field, and more than likely you'll be able to at least get one of them. So here, I mean, the job, I mean, they do have jobs here. You just have to look for them a lot harder, a lot longer than you would in those regions, because they have a lot more to choose from in those regions that we do down here.
So, in the future, where would you rather live? Would you rather live in the South, or would you rather live like in a city like the West Coast, East Coast, metropolitan
Um,
area?
right now, it's up in the air, but if I had to choose something, I would probably say the South, simply because I've been there my whole life, and I wouldn't want to go to those regions without being accustomed to them a lot more. Like I would have to go visit, a lot more than 3 or 5 times out of the year to really know if I like it that much to move there. But I like the West Coast. The West Coast is like a place that I would love to, maybe visit or have a home there. And the East Coast as well, because I've been there a whole lot too. I like the East Coast. Um, so maybe somewhere in the middle, maybe not even those regions, maybe just somewhere in the Midwest to kind of go to be different from all of those areas, to kind of get a different feel. But if I just had to choose one out of those three, I would probably say the South.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. No problem.
All right.